a brand new head coach. I mean, you've been in that office now for nearly a year, but it's the first time through something like this.
Yeah.
So what's it like for you to, at the beginning of the year, set out for the first time after being a career assistant to now being the head coach?
You know, I think it's the only good thing that come out of Coach Gill's situation was I had an opportunity for 4 or 5 games and to get an idea of the way I wanted things to be done when I was in charge. And so I think it got us ahead in spring ball by doing that. But it's definitely different. You know, I've had a good time today. I think we got a great group of kids coming back, our best group, and it's been easy coming here. And I'm coming to toot their horn a little bit. You know, they've worked hard. I think we got a good group coming back, and we're excited for the season. And so for everything we've been through in the athletic department, I thought it was important to know that, you know, we feel awfully good about the football program.
Coach, you're not the only defensive coach that's taken over and put the spread in. Chris Asher's doing it at Rutgers. DJ is doing it at Maryland. Why did you decide to hire Jay Johnson and go to the spread attack?
Well, you know, Coach, if you just watched our film, I mean, it was pretty obvious is that when we were in 2 backs, we were running the ball, and when we went to 1 back, we were throwing the ball. And, you know, I still think in the upper Midwest, you got to be able to run the ball and control the line of scrimmage. And Jay Johnson has a great history of 1-back running game. Wherever he's been, and they've been successful at it. And so I think it's a great fit for us to be a little bit more multiple on offense, but we're not going to get away from trying to control the line of scrimmage. But we can't always just depend on doing it out of 2 backs. So that was the reasoning.
Coach, a lot of times when you have some time off, you have a chance to reflect, look back on last season, and you do it from a team perspective. But from a coach's perspective, a head coach, were there some things that you wanted to change that you were doing and you could help the team really achieve more from a head coaching standpoint that you learned over the offseason?
Yeah, you know, I think the one thing is I think I can help the coaches more. You know, is that on game day is I don't want to be a micromanager. I want to be one of those guys that I'll be in the film room early in the week with the staffs, but on game day I want to be a resource. They got a question, they need some help, I want to be able to provide that to them, and then the time management part of it to be able to help in the game. And so I want to feel like our assistants can use me as a resource on game day, and then during the week it's you know, I'm going to make sure that we do things that our players do best. After going through the last 4 games, and that's the one thing I think we could have done better offensively, and even me on defense, is that you get into a head coach's role and you go, well, why did you do that with him? I don't know that he's good at doing that, and you get wrapped up in the X's and O's. And the bottom line is, if you want to win ball games, put your kids in a position where they do best and let them go down with your fastball, and we're going to do that.
You talk about staff meetings and X's and O's. Where are you spending most of your time when the offensive staff is in one room and the defensive staff's in the other room?
You know, right now it's with the offensive guys for the personality aspects of it. You know, whether it's be what on 3rd and long or 3rd and short, or, you know, 2nd downs and different situations. We just talk through different situations in games so they know personality-wise of what I'm thinking. You know, defensively, I've stayed out of the defensive room. You know, and the reason is I want those guys to put in some of their new ideas, and Jay's an awfully good football coach and our staff, and I thought they did a good job in the spring of doing some things to try to increase some pass rush and things we need help on defense. But, you know, once we get to fall camp, I'll alternate days is the plan, is 1 day on offense, 1 day on defense, and because I want to know what's going on, because I want to be able to help those guys on game day.
Experienced quarterback coming back, had a little offseason surgery. Can you update him his health?
Yeah, you know, he's ready to go. We held him out of spring ball as much as we could. He stuck in there and did a little bit more than he was supposed to.
Of course.
But for the first time, he's healthy. But that's why our kids have so much respect for him. He's tough. He always goes to practice every day. And, you know, again, I think if we play to Mitch's strengths and do what he does best and let him throw the football that he throws best, I think he'll have a great season for us and leading us. And all our seniors done a good job all summer of little group things, whether it's laser tag or the paintball thing or going out and going fishing. I think we have as close a team as we've had, because they're all disappointed a year ago. Yeah. We had a good bowl win, but we all had a lot higher expectations of that, and we had to go through coach's situation and injuries. But that's why I'm so proud of the kids. There's no excuses here. They want to get back to where we were 2 years ago, and last game of the year we beat Wisconsin. We get to go play Ohio State for the national championship, and so we've got a good group of kids, and I'm excited to see them play.
Coach, aside from winning and facilities, what's the most important thing you have to do in recruiting to build a program?
I think the rule that passed to allow us to bring parents on recruiting is tremendous. Right. We need to get the parents to the Twin Cities. When they come, they are amazed at all the things to do, even if it happens to be in the winter, the things that there is to do. So we're excited about the rule passed, allowing us to bring the parents. And obviously the new facilities, they're going to be done in January 17 and all the dirt moving. So, I'm very, President Kaler and our Board of Regents, finally we've made the decision at the University of Minnesota that our kids deserve the same opportunity to compete at a high level of the Big Ten as the other institutions. But I think allowing us to bring the parents to campus is going to play big benefits.
On the defensive side of the ball, you had two talented corners, or you like to play those guys in press. Tell us about some of the new guys that are going to have to step up and allow you to still be aggressive defensively.
Sure. Jalen Myrick's going to have to continue to develop, which he has, and mature. And then Keontae Harden is a kid we played a year ago who's very explosive, and I feel good about him. Antonio Chenault is coming back at corner. But Ray Buford is a kid that we got out of Southfield here in Michigan, and he didn't go to the work team hardly at all because of the injuries. He was the next one to go, and so he practiced with us all year long. Long kid, all types of skills. So I think we can do some things in the secondary. We may not be as much press to start out with because, again, if that's not what they do best, I don't want to see us doing that. But I feel good. We got to stay healthy there. We got to stay healthy in the O-line. If we do that, I think we're set up to have an awfully good season.
The injuries were such a huge part of the disappointment in the offensive line last year. You have a new offensive line coach in Bart Miller. Yeah. Give us a sense for him and what appealed to you about him.
Well, Bart, I remember when we played against Wisconsin a couple of years ago, and they changed coaches after the second or third game because they were struggling in the running game, and they put Bart in charge. He was there with Coach Bostad, and they put him back in charge of it, and they ended up going and winning the Rose Bowl and got their running game back. And so he's the first person that I interviewed and went and talked to, and just the toughness and his love for those guys up front. And I'll tell you what, our guys have embraced that change. I let Coach Miller design with our strength coach what the kids is doing this summer, and they've made a big difference over the summer. And so when you get somebody, they're good at what they do and they've gotten results, we're going to let them do that, and he's made a big impact.
You lost a really big contributor at wide receiver in KJ May. Who can step up there and become the next focal point of this passing game for
that's the biggest question we have to answer. But I feel like Rashad Steele is a guy who's going to step up. He made some big catches for us a year ago. You're talking about a 6'4" kid who's 210 pounds and can run and did a nice job. And Eric Carter's back. We redshirted a couple kids at receiver. So I think we have the athleticism there. But obviously we've got to prove it on game day. But I'm not too worried about that as much as I am. The injuries in the O-line is really my biggest concern on offense. And I do think on offense for the first time with these kids we've redshirted is we're going to make people defend the whole width of the field. Finally, we got more than one receiver or two receivers, and our tight ends will play a big part in what we do. And we got to find a way to get both backs on the field too. They're both extremely talented. So, I am excited. I think we don't have to jump into the top 10 in the country on offense to do what we need to do. We just can't finish in the 103rd, 105 in that area. We got to climb up there.
Outside of the wide receiver spot, which you were talking about, and avoiding injuries on the offensive line, what's your biggest priority for fall camp? What do you want to see? Questions maybe that need to be answered as you head into the season? Well,
the one thing we ran short in the spring is all the 2-minute drill stuff. So the first couple of days you can't have impads. So those first 5 to 7 days we're really going to get after the 2-minute stuff and do a bunch of the no huddle 2-minute. Get that all in. Find out what Mitch is comfortable with, and then we'll start working our way back towards who we're going to be. And so that's my biggest thing is getting kids comfortable with the 2-minute. We were pretty good in it a year ago, and we have a lot of kids back. So I think it'll be an easy transition. But again, we have somebody else calling the plays.
Coach, we talked about last year maybe not being exactly where you wanted it to be. The schedule was a huge part of that. I mean, you guys had as daunting a schedule as I can remember, and this isn't in any way to speak negatively of anyone who's on your schedule this year, but I think it's fair to say, just based on the records from a year ago, the crossovers are significantly more favorable than they were last season. And we look at the schedule right here. You have Penn State, who, of course, is going to be thought of as one of the solid teams atop the East. But then you get Maryland and Rutgers, who both have new head coaches who are rebuilding a little bit. Right. It's a different equation than having Ohio State and Michigan like you had a year ago. Give us a sense for what you see when you look at this schedule.
You know, my biggest concern on the schedule is the 5 road games. I don't think people talk about that enough. I think that's going to have an impact on who ends up in Indianapolis. And so this is year we got 5 road games, and even though teams are going through some times in rebuilding, it's hard to win on the road. And so that's a big concern of mine, having those 5 road games with not a very big margin for error. But there's no question, you know, when you get done and, like say, 6 of your losses or teams win 10 games or more, you know, that's a tough schedule. And there's a couple other teams that got to walk that same road that we did last year. And so it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But they're all tough, but there's no question when you look at it, you don't see the traditionally big names there.
It is important to note everyone in the West this year with 5 road games, everyone in the East with 5 conference home games. Again, for fans maybe who are just becoming aware of this, 9 conference games in the Big Ten. This year it'll alternate. Next year it'll be 5 home games for the teams from the West. Tracy Claeys, new head coach of the Gophers. It's been a pleasure visiting with you all these years, and really fun to see you get this opportunity. We look forward to seeing you in the Twin Cities for practice.
Well, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you all.
Next question.
So that is Tracy.